things get a little bit more interesting when we throw in some negative signs. The rules are the same. It's still multiplying to the top, adding to the bottom. Okay, now I'm thinking to myself, if two numbers are going to multiply to be a negative, then one has to be positive and one has to be negative. So I'm thinking of two numbers that multiply to 18. Now when I go to add these numbers, one's going to be positive, one's going to be negative. So I'm actually going to end up subtracting them. So I'm thinking that the two numbers that multiply to 18 and subtract to 3 are 6 and 3, right? 6 times 3 is 18. Now, the thing is, which one's going to be negative? Well, I want them to add to be a negative, so I need to make the larger number negative, right? So positive times negative is negative. 3 times 6 is 18. Here, when I add 3 and negative 6, and these cancel, I'm left with negative 3, okay? How about this one? Multiply to negative 16, add to 0. Two numbers that multiply to 16, and when I add them, I'm going to get 0. Now, here's the thing. It's multiplying to a negative, so I'm going to have one positive, one negative. And what kind of numbers add to 0? The positive and negative of the same number, right? So look at this. 4 times 4 is 16. Positive times negative is negative. 4 minus 4 is 0. Okay, now notice something interesting here. This multiplies to a positive and adds to a negative. The only way that could be true is a negative times a negative, because a negative times a negative is a positive, and a negative plus a negative is going to be a negative. So now I'm just thinking of two numbers that multiply to 48 and add to 14. That would be 8 and 6. Okay, and then last one. This multiplies to a negative, adds to a positive. So now this time I'm going to have a positive and a negative because that's the only way I multiply to a negative. But my larger number will be positive because I want them to add to a positive. Right here, my larger number was going to be negative because I wanted them to add to a negative. So two numbers that multiply to 45 and subtract to get 4 would be 9 and 5. I'm going to make the larger number positive and the smaller number negative.